So, hi. Hi. I'd like to start with a story. It's my story. The story of how I came to be standing here today doing this. Because, yeah, it's weird. Like many people, I grew up in a vaguely religious household. Yeah, sometimes we went to church, sometimes we didn't. My parents believed. My dad was a bit more serious than my mom. He was part of a Baptist church, and I occasionally went to his church. And I've memories from my early childhood. I was in grade 1, and I was part of a Bible club. And so we would stay after school and do the kind of things that you'd see done in like Sunday school, crafts and games and things. But I remember one time we were being led in a prayer. We were being asked to pray to Jesus, to come and live in our hearts. But being a very literal-minded child, I was thinking, logistically, how does that work? So I'm doing the prayer, and I'm praying really hard, and I'm trying, and I'm doing it, and I'm not feeling anything. There's nothing happening here, and I'm thinking to myself, am I doing something wrong? Am I messing this up in some way? I don't quite get it. So, it was, though, a big part of my life. I was taught lessons from the Bible. My dad would read to me and try and unpack the stories from the Bible just to try and make sense of it. And it helped me form a morality, helped me walk on the straight and narrow path. Even if I didn't always do it, I still knew where the straight and narrow path was. But something just seemed to be missing. So this went on. And then in high school, I had a crisis of faith, as many people, I guess, would during adolescence. So during this, I'm looking for signs like burning bushes and lightning bolts and cloud messages in the sky, and nothing's happening. Nothing's coming. So after some careful thought, I'm thinking, okay, well, we've got the scientific explanation for the beginning of the universe, and then this doesn't make sense, so I'm an atheist. That's it. That's all. So, I stopped believing in God. But then I became one of those asshole atheists. You know the kind. Like Richard Dawkins, those sorts of folks, where anytime I would run into a Christian or someone of a different faith, I would have to debate them. I would want to go right after them and, no, you're wrong, and all that sort of stuff. And so I went away to university in Thunder Bay, and I was miserable and alone and bored and blah, blah, blah. And then I came back from university, and I was still alone and miserable and bored and whatever. But then everything changed one night. I was out in Kiwanis Park, just across the street there. It was one of those really magical nights, one of those nights in midsummer when the air is just the perfect temperature, it's humid, you can be outside and it's warm, and there's this perfect full moon in the sky, and there's lights dancing in the sky as stars, and I'm sitting underneath this willow tree, and looking up at this, and all of a sudden something clicked, something changed. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm part of all of this. The moon is a part of me, and I am a part of the moon. Everything was one all of a sudden. Oh, that's what they were talking about. That's what they were trying to explain to me, that sensation of oneness, the sensation of God being with me. So yeah, I had it. I'm experiencing it. God is in the room with me. God is you, and God is me. God is the lectern. God is everything. God is everywhere. Wow, what a fantastic sensation. But in the back of my head, that scientific mind is still churning away like this is all just happening in your head. But it is happening in my head, but it's still happening. There's still something going on here. So, that's interesting. But that was it for that. I didn't have anything more. There was still something missing. I still didn't have it. It was like there was a church-shaped hole in my soul. So they say that God works in mysterious ways. I'll never forget the day I met Paul Browning. So my mom got remarried a couple of years ago, and so we're standing around. The wedding was supposed to begin about an hour ago, and where's the minister? What's going on? So we call him up, and yeah, he was napping on the couch. He totally forgotten about it. So he showed up 20 minutes later, kind of winded, very apologetic, very, very apologetic. So it's a spring wedding, and it was an outdoor wedding, and as happens in spring outdoors, it rains. So we walked down to the river, clad in rubber boots and rain jackets and everything, and so I held an umbrella for Paul as he was doing the service. And so then after the service at the reception, we got to chatting. And so he asked me, what's your spiritual tradition? So I told him the story up until this point. So he's like, oh, well, that's all good. I'm like, what? That's all good? Aren't you supposed to try and, save my soul or something like that? And he's like, no. If you consider what I was taught as a child about God, I'm an atheist too. I don't believe in, a lot of the more authoritarian aspects of the Christian church. I'm like, well, that's interesting. So he asked me, what do you believe in? And so I told him, well, I believe in fairness and kindness and truth and justice and all those sort of things. Basically the golden rule in a nutshell. Do to others what you would have them do to you in their situation. So I was like, yeah, that's basically what we do. Oh, okay, all right. So that happened, and that was interesting, and it gave me great pause for thought. And then about 6 months later or so, the following year, I get this call out of the blue. So, Brother Paul, or Brother Eric, yeah. So, pronouns, whatever. So he asked me, well, we're trying to start a youth program here. Would you like to be involved in that? Would you like to help us get the computers in order? Would you like to help us with this church thing? You do remember I'm an atheist, right? It's like, yeah, that's all good. You're welcome. Okay, all right. So here I am, and here I am. I'm standing in a church. Yay! So I became part of the Trinity family. It's a place that I can call home. It's a group of people that accept me for who I am, what I do. It's a bunch of genuinely kind people. And you're all great. I love you all. I've been part of committee meetings. I've been part of murder mystery plays. I've been part of all sorts of manners of musical things. It's been just the most incredible experience, a place where I can contribute my skills and learn with one another. And the interesting thing about hanging around a Christian church is that I've gotten to learn a lot more about the Bible, about the stories of Jesus. And the more that I read about it, the more I see Jesus' life reflected in our lives. There's a lot more relevance than at first glance. Yes, it was written 2,000 years ago or more, but the allegories are still there. All of the same stories, they happen in different ways with different characters, but they're all still happening here. So through the season of Easter, as we've just gotten through, this is the second to last weekend of Easter, we've heard the story where Jesus is put to death only to find him appearing to his followers in the days after, whether it be bodily or in spirit. It doesn't really matter what your interpretation is. But he's offering encouragement and wisdom. He's trying to help these people get on with their lives after his death. And this past Thursday was, in the Christian calendar, Ascension Day. And this is the day where when Jesus goes up into heaven or whatever. He offers a final blessing to his followers, telling them, don't give up hope. Never give up hope. And the power of the Spirit lives within them. So then he floats up into a cloud and disappears. As you might expect, the followers of Jesus might have had a bit of a, well, what now kind of a moment. So they'd been awoken by this new kind of spiritual leader, shaken from their worldly existence by the power of unconditional neighborly love and a passion that could overcome the empire of domination, but only to have their hopes dashed, hanging on a cross. Even in their emptiness, though, they found that the Spirit of Jesus was with them, filling their spirits with hope and enthusiasm and the power to carry on. So, guided by the Spirit of Jesus, they got to work. They built the early church. They built a community of people and a Bible and everything, and they got together what we're still experiencing today as the Christian church. Even in their emptiness, they found that Spirit, the Spirit to carry on, the Spirit to move forward. So, In a sense, Jesus had not ascended up and away, but more among and within. I always like that verse that goes, "Wherever 2 or 3 of you gather, there I am with you." And I feel it here. We are together the body of Jesus. We are Jesus' spirit acting in the world, doing his good works, carrying on his message of peace and love and joy. So what I'd been taught in Bible Club had really been right, in a way. It's not literally Jesus in my heart, but Jesus is in me. I am Jesus. I am an example of Jesus. Okay, fine. But here's the thing. You are Jesus too. We're all part of it. And together, that's the only way that we're going to get anything done. What I'd been taught in Bible Club in first grade had been right in a way, but my mind just hadn't been primed for the experience at the time. The notion is common among all cultures, among all ethnicities, among all religions. Unity, universal unity and harmony. And we have that here. We can take that out into the world as well. It's a common thread that connects us, and it's the root of the golden rule. If each and every one of us worked towards that common good, to treat others the way that we wanted to be treated, to bring us all together, we could work as one. We could, with brotherly and sisterly love as the foundation of our interactions, we could overcome fear and hatred and violence that plagues this world. So again, we come to the question, what now? Well, it's simple. We move the mission forward. We keep going. We have in this place and in this community the opportunity to do great things, greater than any of us can do alone. We've seen plenty of examples of that. By sharing ourselves with others, we become better people. As we help each other, we help ourselves. The struggles that we face are never going to go away. We're always going to have hardship in our lives. But sharing it amongst us, having it in community together, makes it easier to manage, makes it easier to bear, because we're all carrying it together. Following the golden rule means that even though we screw up sometimes, we all know that we have each other's best interests in mind. It's no secret that our world is hurting. Poverty and inequality are rampant. The environment is straining under our weight. The empire of fear rules us. It's tempting to become pessimistic and cynical and give up, but don't. We grow together in community. And as we grow together in community, the power of our community grows. As we partner with others of goodwill across cultures, across religions, that power is going to amplify. We might not agree on everything, but we don't have to. Jesus considered the intent behind the law more important than the letter. It doesn't have to be literally true to be true. If we hold each other's communities, each other's faiths, each other's cultures as our own family, as Jesus did, that bond will strengthen and it will grow, and we will become more powerful together. So long as a person's beliefs lead them to act out of goodwill, the specifics simply don't matter. And so I invite you to take on that power. Invite the Spirit of Jesus, or whatever, to enkindle a fire in you. Let it excite you and drive you to take part of the revolution of love. Make everything you do be an expression of that love, to help others and find the power within them. Next week is Pentecost. It's considered the birthday of the Christian church in the Christian calendar. It's born of wind and fire. And as we celebrate on that day, as we often do, we also celebrate the strength and the growth of that strength in this church. The larger church community that we are connected to and in the world, the revolution of love is ongoing. We have the power and the potential to accomplish great things, and together we can overcome the challenges that we face. So what do we do now? We save the world. Thanks be to God.